Hi guys, Grand J here, and welcome to our first Dragon Ball Super card game video. So with the second set of the Dragon Ball Super card game just around the corner, I want to break down some of the cards that we'll be seeing in the new metagame and discussing their impact and their relevance. So in today's video, we'll be discussing the first quarter of the cards, the red colored cards. So let's get on to it. The first card we'll talk about is Vegeto. So Vegeto has two parts to his ability. So on the front side and the back side, both Son Goku and Vegeta in all your areas gain red, blue, and green colors. In addition, on the front side, when Vegeto attacks, place up to one card from the top of your deck into drop area. If you do, this card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. On the flip side, when this card attacks, draw one card, and if there are 10 or more Goku or Vegeta in your drop area, this card gains plus 5,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. So this leader is actually very interesting. This leader is actually, I believe, more of a combo or control type leader, in the sense that what this card effectively allows you to do is that it allows you to very, very consistently color mix your deck, in the sense that if you are playing Gokus and Vegetas, a single Goku or a single Vegeta in your energy area can count for all three types of colors, which really opens up the sort of options that are available in regards to which extra cards and which battle cards you want to play. So this card really open up for a lot of combo potential in the future. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, and I think it's just going to wait to see what sort of decks that this deck can sort of really sort of break out. So the permanent ability is really, really strong, but I think it's definitely going to be much stronger in a sort of multicolor in a multicolor combo deck. In regards to the auto ability, giving your basic leader plus 5,000 power is pretty strong. But then again, if it's a sort of multicolor deck, then I think the relevance of this effect is going to be a little bit less relevant or a little bit more difficult to proc off. Definitely if you're playing a deck that's mono red or a deck that's primarily red with Gokus and Vegetas, this card's ability is going to proc off a lot. It does give you the ability to pressure your opponent's leader, even though you're not awakened. On the flip side though, if you have 10 or more cards, and considering that there's a lot of abilities to get cards into your discard pile, and you've got the leader ability, it's going to be not too difficult to get 10 or more Gokus or Vegetas into your drop area, especially if you're playing a deck that's running a lot of copies of those cards. So yeah, being able to basically give your leader permanently 20,000 double strike is really, really strong, and I think this can potentially lend this deck to being like partially aggro as well. So it gives it a really strong finisher in combination with the other Vegeto cards. So next we have yet another Son Goku leader. So this Goku is kind of interesting. So on the front side, he has activate battle once per turn. Place a card from your hand into a drop area. This card gets plus 5,000 for duration of the battle. So not particularly amazing. It basically allows you to convert one card in your hand into a plus 5,000 power combo for your leader, specifically for the duration of the battle. However, when you awaken him, this ability significantly improves, in the sense that place one card from your hand into the drop area. This card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So what that effectively means is that for an entire turn, Goku will be at 20,000 power. So while this is not particularly amazing on offense, defense is where this card is going to be extremely strong. So we all know how relevant Senzu Bean was in the first in the set 1 meta of the game. Just being able to bump yourself up from 15,000 to 20,000 meant that a lot of decks really sort of blockaded their aggression, makes it very difficult for your opponent to try to force you out of the game with multiple attackers at around the 15,000 mark. So this card definitely does give you significant defense towards the mid to late game, simply because by discarding a card, you can basically bump yourself up to 20,000 and prevent a lot of damage dealt to you. So this card's going to be strong in that regard. In addition, there is synergy in regards to a lot of the red cards have this sort of theme around having 4 or less cards. So both the front side and the back side does give you some interesting ways to discard cards from your hand to get under that 4-card threshold to start triggering off some of these abilities. This card definitely does have its uses, so it's not a bad leader by any means, but like I think it doesn't innately allow itself to awaken. Plus, its awakened ability doesn't give itself more options to win. It's a defensive ability, personally, in my opinion. So I think that this card is not going to see that much play. It is a Goku, so there is some relevance to it there. Next, we have the Babidi leader, and this is a leader that I'm actually tossing up a little bit on. So, on the front side, when this card is placed into the leader area, so basically at the start of the game, choose one Majin Buu sealed ball from your deck and place it in the battle area in active mode. So basically this card's ability is start the game off with a Majin Buu sealed ball. On the awakened side, activate once per turn, choose one of your battle cards, it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Auto, once per turn, when your battle card attacks, draw one card and place one card from the top of your deck under your Majin Buu sealed ball. So, this card It's got some interesting pros and some interesting cons. So the major con to consider is that for an awakened leader, it only has 10,000 power. So it doesn't have any way to bump itself up. Even its ability to give a card plus 5,000 power can't be active on himself. So that's actually a pretty big of an issue, because there's a lot of cards at around the 10,000, 15,000 mark where they're going to be able to push Babidi for damage, even though they've awakened him. Oh, do note that he does awaken at 6 life as well. So he is one of the leaders in this set that does awaken a little bit earlier. That being said, yeah, he has a significant liability in the mid to late game, in that you're required to discard significantly more cards in order to combo to protect your leader, and that's a big issue. That being said, though, it seems like the Babidi deck is definitely going to be surround itself with a lot of the boos, a lot of aggression. It's going to be one of those decks that's going to try to push your opponent out fast. It is able to start drawing cards at 6 life, so that's something handy as well. So this really sort of builds into the sort of a very aggressive start that this deck's going to build into. So talking about the Majin Buu Sealed Bowl. So it's a 10 cost field card. So effectively this field card is, you're never going to play it unless you are playing Babidi, or you get it one for free. So basically what it says is, if the cards under this, the number of cards underneath your Sealed Buu Bowl is 5 or more, then you can basically put it into your discard pile and get a Awakened Buu. So we'll be talking about Awakened Buu a little bit later. This leader is a little bit hard to judge in terms of, I'm not entirely sure whether this strategy is going to be viable. Like, my first gut reaction says this leader is not going to be viable, simply because he's too weak and he doesn't sort of bring enough to the table. That being said, I do think potentially there is a Majin Buu type deck to build, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So I do think there are some options to give him the support that he needs, and to be able to build a decent deck around this. The ability to give one of you guys plus 5,000 power compared to having a 15,000 power leader is also kind of handy in that sense as well, because sometimes instead of having a 15,000 power leader and just a regular battle card, sometimes putting that 5,000 over onto your battle card, so having a stronger battle card and just a whatever leader might also be relevant as well. So it's kind of handy in that regard. So this ability does give a unique twist on how to play your leader. It's definitely more of a support leader. We'll have to tell, time will tell how relevant this card will be. My first guess, not particularly strong, but potentially we might see some sort of rogue Majin Buu deck sort of come out. Next card in the first of the battle cards is Relentless Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. So it's a double striker, 4 cost red card. Permanent, this card cannot be KO'd by your opponent's skills. Order, when you play this card until the beginning of your next turn, this card gains plus 5,000 power. So effectively what this means is that when you play this card until the next turn, this card's effectively at 25,000 power, and it's double strike, and it has an ability where it can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. This card is actually very strong. So, like, a good way to sort of compare it is, in the first set we had Mighty Striker Son Gohan. So this was the highest power double striker at 4 cost that we had. So it was 25k double striker, and those on stats is very, very strong. But then Relentless Super Saiyan Son Goku, it sort of adds an additional ability in that this card can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. And because it seems like there's a lot of cards in this new set that are going to have KO type abilities, this effect is actually quite relevant, especially considering that there's a lot more cards with revenge now. So this is going to be a good handy way to get through those as well. The way for him to stay at 25,000 power until your next turn is also pretty good, so he can get in a good strong attack, and he's also not too weak on defense as well for that first turn. Afterwards, he becomes 20,000 power 20,000 power battle card, and that's not bad within itself. So I think that this card will be a good red beater. It ticks a lot of the boxes. It's a good fighter. It can't be destroyed by sort of KO ability, so that's very relevant. If a deck does not have sort of better 4 cost cards, I think that this is going to be the sort of standard for red 4 cost battle cards. Next, we have Super Saiyan Son Goku, and it's a 2 cost 15,000 power battle card. We've seen a lot of these cards so far. They haven't really seen too much play. The only benefit that this card gets is that it's Son Goku, which means that if you are playing a Vegeto deck or any sort of deck that does sort of synergize with Goku's, this is one of those 2 for 15 cards that is relevant in that slot. Hard to say. This card doesn't bring a lot to the table. It's just a standard beater. Definitely I can see a metagame where the game comes down to just spamming out 2 for 15 beaters and trying to push your opponent, try to burn your opponent's resources in that regard. I don't think that meta is going to, we're going to see that meta right now. This is just going to be a sort of filler card, I believe, in sort of any sort of Vegeto deck. Next, we have Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan. So he is a 6 cost battle card Double Strike, permanent. If you have 3 or less cards in this hand, besides from this card, reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 4. So what this effectively means is that if you have only 4 cards and Gohan is one of those cards, then you can play this card for effectively 2. So I believe it's 2 red in that regard. In that case, order when this card KOs your opponent's battle card, inflict 2 damage to your opponent. So this is another. So this is a very strong ability. So we've had very few cards that have abilities to deal damage to your opponent, and it's good to see that sort of red is trying to build into this sort of direct damage archetype. That being said, this card's actually like nothing to laugh at in regards to if you do have that like 4 less card threshold. This card coming out at 2 is extremely good. Being a double strike 25,000 at 2 is very good, and he's also got a relevant ability if he does hit a battle card, deal 2 damage to your opponent. So what this effectively says is that if you can't get over your opponent's leader, hitting a small opposing battle card can also net you 2 damage as well. So this is really strong. More importantly, this card is going to be the main target for your Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu. We'll get into that a little bit later, but this card will see play. I don't think it by itself is going to be significantly strong. So I don't think that this card's going to by itself impact the meta too much. So I do think, say, like a card like Jiren impacts the board from control standpoint a lot better than Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan. But the main value from Ultimate Gohan is that he's able to come in really cheap. He's able to come in at effectively 2 energy. So this is going to be very strong. Obviously, you're going to have to build your deck around keeping your hand small. But if you do keep your hand small, the payoff for it is very, very good. Next, we have Fully Trained Son Gohan. So what this says is each adolescent Gohan in your hand gains Evolve Red Red 1. So yeah, so it's a 2-cost battle card, and its power is 10,000. So that's kind of standard. Generally, when we do see 2-cost battle cards, they're either 15,000 vanillas or 10,000 with some sort of ability on them. So this card by itself, not particularly amazing. Right now, there's not a lot of good options for which Son Gohans to evolve. Obviously, the most value you're going to get is evolving a Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan. That being said, though, that Ultimate Gohan already has a way to make himself cheaper as well. So this card doesn't really add to that. And there's not really many more adolescent Gohans that sort of fit this sort of category. We do have, Mighty Striker Son Gohan, but you're not getting a lot of value out of that. We do have the new promo Gohan, but yeah, again, we're not getting really that much value out of it. So, so this is definitely going to be one of those cards that we're going to sit on for a little while. So depending on how many more adolescent Gohans we'll get in the future, what their costs are, how strong they are, this card may see play. But right now, there doesn't seem to be any good options to support this card or really capitalize on this card. Next, we have Leap to the Future Son Goten. So, place this card and one of a card from your hand into the drop area, choose up to 1 Gotenks with 25,000 power or less power from your deck, and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So, to clarify, the ruling on this card is that this card has to be on the field in order to use this ability. So you have to move this card from your field and discard a card from your hand in order to trigger this ability. You're not discarding 2 cards from your hand. So that being said, being able to grab a Gotenks from your deck is actually very strong. Gotenks actually seems to be one of the strongest battle cards every set. And this set and last set are both like no exemptions to this rule. That being said, 3 for 15, that's not a bad size. We see most free costs at the 3 for 15 size with some sort of relevant ability. The one thing that sort of really gets me on this card is that you effectively are trading a lot of resources in order to search for a Gotenks. So you're getting rid of this card and discarding a card from your hand. So that's a 2 for 1. So sometimes a 2 for 1 may be relevant in terms of if you're getting a very strong card, and because Gotenks is a very strong card, that is handy. But you have to pay 3 to get them onto the field as well. I don't know if this card sort of justifies it. I definitely do see decks where having this card in hand or having this card in the deck as a small amount to search for your Gotenks when you do want to get to those trigger turns will be handy. The card's definitely not bad, but it certainly depends upon the strategies that are running the Gotenks. So yeah, so I think that this card is fine. It does not like super impress me, however. Next, we have Ultimate Evil Dark Prince Vegeta. So it's got double strike. It's a 4 for 25,000 power. So that's pretty much on curve. When this card KOs your opponent's battle card, place cards from the top of your deck under your Majin Buu Seal Ball until there are 5 cards under the Seal Ball. So effectively what this means is when you KO a battle card with this card, awaken your Seal Ball and then get a free Buu. So otherwise than this card doesn't really have any other sort of features to it. So So yeah, so this card will only really see play in the Babidi deck because only the Babidi can effectively play Majin Buu Seal Ball. So this card is going to sit in a very, very tiny sliver of a niche of a deck. So I think that this card is a little bit too conditional in the sense that, yeah, you have to play it when you got Sealed Majin Buu Ball, and innately your Babidi leader is going to be putting cards under the Buu Ball anyways. This basically awakens it straight away. But usually by around the turn 4, I think you've probably got like three to four cards underneath it. So using Vegeta to, like, in most cases, you'll only be able to get like +1 or 2 extra cards under your ball with Vegeta. I don't think the payoff is relevant enough, or the speed comes in fast enough. So if this was a free cost, I can definitely see reason for this card to be seeing more play. But when you're waiting till your 4th energy in order to do this, and in order to awaken your Seal Ball, I think that takes a little bit too long, and I think you're getting a little bit too far into the mid game in order to get this. That being said, it has no other relevant abilities, which kind of sucks. I don't think this card will really see play. Even in the Majin Buu Seal Ball deck, I don't think that this card is going to have a strong place in it. I honestly think Spopovich and Yamu is going to be a much more relevant way to get cards onto your Seal Ball. Not to mention, this has to KO one of your opponent's battle cards. So if you are attacking one of your opponent's battle cards at around the 15 or 20,000 mark, there is the possibility that your opponent's just going to combo to protect their battle card, and then all of a sudden your Vegeta doesn't really do anything. In the sense that there's a lot of four-cost cards that are already coming in to destroy other cards, to destroy other battle cards. This card, for the trade-off of not having those other relevant effects, I don't think the effect is strong enough. Next, we have Double Shot Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, and so there's a set of cards from all the colors. So they all have this same ability. At the end of your battle, after you combo this card from your hand, if your leader is red, play this card in rest mode. So each of the colors has a similar variant to this. Green has a slightly different variant of this. But yeah, so it's a free for 15, but in general, the idea is that you're not going to have to play for 15. The best way for me to analogize this card is that I think Frieza's Call is probably the best way to analogize it. So Frieza's Call is a 1-cost extra card from set 1 that got you a Frieza's army of 2 or less from your battle deck. So in a lot of cases, this is pulling out Swees or Pools, and those are 2 cost 15,000, and they came in rest mode. And this is effectively what you're getting with Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. So I definitely do think these cards are good, but it's certainly going to depend upon the decks that are playing them. Being able to combo 1 for 10,000 is just standard, but then getting a free 15,000 out of it is pretty handy as well. I'm not sure about deck space, how many of these are going to go in, but I can definitely see it like decks playing like 1 or 2 copies of these sort of cards in their relevant niche, depending on like how much space they got into the deck. So yeah, so this card is interesting. I like it. Obviously, time will tell to see how prevalent these cards are going to be. So again, we have Leap to the Future Trunks, and it's effectively the same thing as Leap to the Future Goten, except literally the card is Trunks. So in a way, I just effectively treat these as effectively the same card. There is some support in like Mighty Mask in terms of getting both a Trunks and a Goten. Card's not bad. In terms of card advantage, it kind of sucks, and this game is very card advantage intensive. That being said, I don't like having to put your hand down low, except for in the red deck, where it seems like the red 4 cards in hand deck, where it seems to be pushing this theme. That's the only way I can see this card being played. If it's not being played in that regard, I don't think you'll see play. That being said, not a bad card, and I'm just sort of like, I haven't really sort of tested out whether the 4 cards in hand threshold deck is going to be relevant in the metagame yet, or how strong it's going to be. Next card is Repeated Force Vegeto. So, it's kind of hard to talk about this card without talking about Lightning Speed Vegeto first. So Lightning Speed Vegeto is a 5-cost battle card that's got Union Potara. So if you have Goku and Vegeta both on the field, you can pay free and put this card on top of both the cards in active mode. So Lightning Speed Vegeto has, this card can attack battle cards that are in active mode, so that's always a good ability to have. It seems like a lot of red cards have that ability this set. At the end of the battle, after this card attacks, place 10 cards from the top of your deck into your drop area, then choose up to 1 Vegeto with 25,000 power and evolve it onto this card in active mode. So a couple of things to note. So it has to, when you do select a Vegeto from your discard pile, it has to be exactly 25,000 power. So you can't use this to get another Lightning Speed Vegeto. So right now, targets seems like Repeated Force Vegeto is the only target for this card. 5 for 20,000, not particularly amazing, but effectively you're getting a free Vegeto out of it as well. So, bring this card back onto the card that we're talking about. Repeated Force Vegeto is a 7 cost Vegeto. It's got Union Potara 5, so again, Son Goku Vegeta, pay 5, and you can get this card directly, but in most cases, I don't think that that's going to be the way that you're going to get this card out. So it's got Triple Strike, and so yeah, Triple Strike is a really strong ability. Auto, when this card attacks, this card gains plus 5,000 power for each Goku and Vegeta in your drop area for the duration of the turn. So this card has an absurd amount of power. So this card basically says, I will win combat every time. So if you want to deal with me, you have to put extra cards down. Pretty much is what it is. Pretty much what it's saying. So this card is is going to be the card that Lightning Speed Vegeta is going to get out every turn. These two cards are exactly what's supposed to pair up with each other. You want to get Lightning Speed Vegeta out really early. You want to be able to Potara your Goku and your Vegeta, and you can definitely do that very easily. You can definitely have a situation where turn 1 you're playing Kansei Goku, turn 2 you're playing any of the 2-cost Vegetas, turn 3 you can go straight into Lightning Speed Vegeto, attack with Lightning Speed Vegeto, you mill 10 cards, and if you're running a Goku Vegeta heavy deck, then you can potentially put 5 to 8 Goku Vegetas into your battle area, into your drop area. So that means when you do attack this Vegeta, and if you happen to get a Repeated Force Vegeta into your discard pile or into your drop area, it means that you can evolve this card straight into Repeated Force Vegeta straight up on the same turn and attack with him. So on the same turn, you can get a Repeated Force Vegeta from a Lightning Speed Vegeta as early as your third turn, and Repeated Force Vegeta, if you trigger it from Lightning Speed Vegeta, is going to be really strong because you've got 10 cards into your drop area already. If that's like, yeah, if it's like even like 4 or 5, that's like plus 20 or plus like 25, so that's like a 50,000 power attacker. Anywhere in the mid game, you could potentially see anything between like 12 to 15 sort of Goku Vegetas in your deck, and then that's basically unstoppable amount of power behind him. So this card, I think, is going to be the finisher of the Vegeto deck. Definitely, it's going to be the Vegeto, the finisher. If your opponent doesn't have extra cards or counter cards to stop this card, this guy is going to bash through for free damage every single time. There's no way your opponent is going to be able to just combo cards from their hand to be able to stop this card, because this guy's probably going to be coming in at like 80,000, 100,000 in the mid game, and unless your opponent literally dumps their entire hand just to block a triple strike, this card is going to swing for free damage every single time. So I like this card. I want to build a deck around this card. Yeah, just being able to get this like massive Vegeta as early as turn 3 or turn 4 just sounds stupidly good to me. Next we have Ghost Attack Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and I like this card very much. So it's 5 cost red at 20,000 power, so doesn't get you full value, but its ability is very strong. So if you have 4 less cards in your hand, this card and all your Gotenks gain double strike. So that's pretty good already. In addition to this, when you play this card, play 3 Ghost Tokens. So Ghost Tokens are just like battle cards that have 15,000 power. They don't seem to have any sort of combo, and they don't have a cost to them. I'll make another video discussing the cost of tokens and the rulings on the tokens. That being said, the tokens are pretty resilient. They are pretty resilient. So this card basically gives you a 20k and free 15ks for 5, and that's really quite strong. You get a lot of value out of them, and they're all double strikers. Only have 4 cards in hand, and while you got this Gotenks on the field. So this card is like yet another super early game finisher. If your opponent just doesn't have a whole lot of resources or don't have the energy open, and this guy can come down as early as like turn 4 if you evolve with Gotenks from it, you can just basically push your opponent out straight away if they just don't have enough energy to stop like every one of these attacks. So this card is a super value card, super strong. I don't think, like, by itself, I think this card could definitely push your opponent from like 4 life to 0 pretty easily, or just force your opponent to drain a lot of cards from their hands. This card, yeah, I think this card will see play. This is definitely going to see play. A good way to, yeah, and so yeah. In addition to this, just another little handy thing is that also there's an extra card called Super Ghost Kamikaze that creates two ghost tokens, and any ghost tokens that you create from any source are all going to get the double strike bonus from this Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. So it's a really strong card. I definitely see a situation where you're playing this, and then on a following turn you play like the promo Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Give them all plus 5,000 power, so now you got a whole bunch of like 20,000 power double strikers, and that's just gonna like kick ass. So yeah, this card's going to see play. This card's going to seem super fun. And yeah, like I definitely want to try this out of the deck. Definitely it's going to be a little bit more stronger when the Gotenks leader comes out, simply because that means you can activate the Super Ghost Kamikaze ability more frequently. So yeah, so this card is going to be pretty good for now, but it's going to get way better when we can activate the Super Ghost Kamikaze more efficiently and more regularly while we have the Gotenks leader out. Next, we have Prodigy Fusion Super Saiyan Gotenks. So this is one of the few like union fusions we have in this set or in the game in total. So what this says is by discard, effectively you can place Son Goten and Trunks from your hand underneath this card to put this card into play. So for one red, so for effectively 2 energy, one red and one colorless, putting in Gotenks and Trunks from your hand, you can put this card into play. And it's a dual attack at 15,000 power. So that's not terrible. Dual attack is definitely one of those abilities that's stronger than its counterpart, and that dual attack is stronger than double strike in a lot of cases. And there's not much more to this card. At 4 for 15,000 power, if you were to play it normally for dual attack, not super impressive. That being said, there is a whole bunch of stuff that synergizes with Gotenks between the Buu stuff and between the Super Ghost Kamikaze stuff. This card, yeah, is relevant. You almost never want to play this card by just like paying 4. Most of the time I do foresee you using the Union Fusion, and there's a lot of ways to get Gotens and Trunks to your hand, especially if you want to splash in, say, some green. There's a lot of good green Gotens and Trunks. So you can like play the green Goten that can come in, that can combo to destroy a 3 or less, or you can have the Trunks that allows you to combo. So they're very good Goten and Trunkses. This card, I think 90% of the time you're just going to be playing it by using Union Fusion. So yeah, just to sort of touch upon, yeah, Mighty Mask is a 2-cost card. By placing it from your field to the drop area, you can choose one Goten and one Trunks from your deck with 15,000 or less power each and put them to your hand. So that basically one 2-cost card allows you to immediately get the materials that you need to Fusion Union Gotenks. So this is going to be very relevant in that regard. So you can make this Gotenks come out really cheaply, and then that allows you to potentially awaken it, allows you to union it with your Super Buu, so your Prodigy Super Buu, that sort of stuff. The synergies here are good. This card isn't going to be a card that wins you a game, but this card is a very central card to playing a whole lot of other strategies. Next, we have Mighty Mask, the Mysterious Water. So put this card from your drop area, choose a Goten and choose a Trunks, and add them to your hand shuffle your deck. This card is really good. It's a 2 for 10k, so that's not bad if you just want to like skirmish a little bit and hit some like early game cards. That's absolutely fine. You can even pressure some of your opponent for damage, and then yeah, you can activate this card during your main to get rid of it and get your Goten and Trunks that gives you the materials for Gotenks, or it just gives you like additional tools. So if you are playing like a red-green deck, you can just get the Goten, get the Trunks in your hand. You may not even use them for the Gotenks fusion, but just simply having those cards, they're both very strong cards in certain matchups, like the green Trunks, the green Kid Trunks, Protector of Children is really strong. It's one of the 10k draw card battle cards. So this card, there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing it if you're running the sort of Goten, if you're running both Goten and Trunks. So this card's good. Play it. It's going to see a lot of play. Next, we have Hercule Buu's Assistant. So this is yet another one of those cards which costs 1. Look at the top 7 cards for your deck and choose one card from this selection, put it into your hand. In this case, it chooses for a red Majin Buu. So a relevant thing to note is that it chooses for only red Majin Buu. So you're not able to get the blue 1-cost NG boosted Majin Buu with this card. So that's something to note. That being said, though, something that's interesting about this card is that compared to a lot of the other cards, they can't search for themselves. So for example, the 1-cost Broly, 1-cost Kaisei and Goku, and 1-cost Champa can all search for additional copies of themselves. So in those situations, it gives you extra numbers, and it also allows you to search for another copy, which can search for additional other copies and stuff. Hercule can't search for himself, so that's a big thing to note. In addition, most of the Buus, you can't. Most of the Buus, you're not really looking to play from your hand, actually. So Awakening Evil Majin Buu is effectively the only Majin Buu you're looking to play from your hand, because Awakening Evil Majin Buu is going to be a cheap and effective way to get your other Super Buus out, and like Fat Buu, like the Awakening Seal Ball Buu, that card's going to come out from the Seal Ball anyway. So this card's relevance right now is actually very niche. I don't think it's going to see play. Yeah, I don't think it's particularly good right now. If you really are short on the card advantage when you're playing a Majin Buu deck, you may chuck him in, but I don't think that this card really adds to the synergy of the deck all that much, even though he is able to search for like 4 or 5 different targets. Next, we have Videl, Gohan's partner. So it's a 2-cost blocker at 5,000 power, so that's pretty weak. But it comes in with so every color has a similar sort of blocker. So if you control Son Gohan Adolescence in your battle or leader area, you can play this card from your hand for free without paying its energy cost. So every color's got one of these. So Videl can come in for free if you have a Son Gohan Adolescence on your field as a battle card or have it as your leader. Right now, the only Adolescent Son Gohan we have as a leader is the green one, so definitely you can chuck this card into that Son Gohan deck. I don't think these cards are particularly amazing simply because the power of all these cards are kind of rising. I don't think these cards will see much play. There's not going to be a lot of situations where you're going to want to play this card in with the Son Gohan leader. There's not even going to be many situations when you want to play the green Son Gohan leader, in my opinion, right now. This card will see less play, and not having the relevant leader and having to rely on playing it with another battle card is really, really iffy, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I think Videl, amongst all the free blockers, she seems like one of the weakest ones. Next, we have Foreseeing East Supreme Kai, which is just like a 10,000 for 2 blocker. We've seen these before. If you're really stretching for cards to put into your monocolor deck, then you can chuck these guys in. It is a god, so there is some synergy with some god stuff there. I don't think that it's going to be too relevant. Red seemed like set 1 of red really focused around aliens, and set 2, the god support is really only in blue. So this card's not going to really see any play. The fact that it's god isn't relevant. Taunting Piccolo is a god as well because he's Mechan god. So if you are going to play some god synergy stuff, in a lot of cases, this exact same card can be played with Taunting Piccolo and it's a god as well, and it's in blue. So this card's not going to see play. There's nothing really in this card that's relevant that blue doesn't already have, or the god archetype already doesn't have. The only potential thing that might push this card over not terrible in the future is that it's a Supreme Kai. So if they do ever make a fusion card of Vegeto card, then maybe this card will see play, but otherwise this card is just irrelevant. Next, we have Vegeto. It is a 15,000 power, 15,000 power vanilla card for 2 costs. We got so many of these in the game already. It is a god. Who cares? Most of the time, you're gonna be playing a Goku anyways. You're going to be playing a 2-cost Goku or a 2-cost Vegeta at 2 for 15. This god niche is the god special trait does not push this card into any sort of relevance. So this card's not going to see any play. Use it as a bookmark or as a coaster. Next, we have Sensing Old Kai. So interesting that they're calling it Old Kai as opposed to Elder Kai in this card game. So it's a 1-cost 5,000 power battle card. At the beginning of your main phase, look up to the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose one miraculous comeback Gohan among them and add them to your hand. Then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. I do not like this card. I do not think this card is very good at all. In the sense that, look, all the cards that look at the top 3 cards of your deck, that's a very, very tiny sliver of your deck. It's very easy for it to fail on a lot of situations. Anyone who's played something like Vados, anyone who's played something like Avenging Frieza, 3 cards from your top of your deck is a very small sample size. You can have half your deck cards that fulfill the requirement, and you'll still miss I think 1 out of 3 times. And this card only searching for one type of Gohan, so only searches for the miraculous comeback Ultimate Gohan, is super, super niche. That means you can only have 4 of these. You can only have 4 of these cards in your deck, and this card is only looking at the top 3. If this card looked at the top 7, then maybe relevant. But looking at the top 3, even though you do activate it at the start of your main phase every turn, not relevant enough. There's too many ways to just pop 1-cost guys. This card doesn't even give you a free card when it comes into play. You have to put it in and then wait a turn, and even then you have to looking at the top 3 cards. So this card is just weak in every sense of its ability. It's too niche. It doesn't search for any adolescent Gohan, only search for one adolescent Gohan. Looks at only top 3 cards of your deck. You have to wait for it. This card is not good. Plus, plus it's not particularly good. So, don't play this card. Even if you are running Miraculous Combat Ultimate Gohan, this card does not help you getting to that Gohan very often. Next card, and this is an exciting card, Mind Controlling Babidi. It's a 6-cost, 10,000 power battle card. Not particularly strong, but its ability is actually insane. So when you play this card, look at the top 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 red battle cards with 25,000 power or less, and put them into play. Then shuffle your deck. So this card is absolutely strong. Yeah, so basically anything under 25,000 power or less is just nearly every single card, except for like the really big sort of like 7k sort of battle cards. Here are just like some great examples. Ghost Attack, Super Saiyan, Free Gotenks, Vados. These are all very relevant targets for the pull out, and you pull out 2 of them. Certain decks, such as like if you're running the Vegeto leader, all your Gokus and Vegetas become red, so that means you can pull out red Gokus and red Vegetas. Some people talk about playing the Vegeto deck and then pulling out double Princes of Speed, so that's pretty cool. Double Princes of Speed come in, and then you draw 4 cards, so that's pretty amazing. Yeah, getting 2 Super Saiyan Free Gotenks is actually stupidly good. So you get 2 20Ks and you get 6 ghosts. So basically, if you can hit 2 5s or 2 6s, this is almost game breaking. This is like almost game winningly good. Obviously top 7 cards is not a huge amount of cards, but it's actually a decent amount of cards as well. So as long as you have a decent amount of targets for this card, even stuff like Lightning Speed Vegeto is also like pretty good with this as well. There's so many good targets. This card is a finisher. If you are on a budget and you can't afford all this promo crap that other decks are playing, play 3 or 4 copies of Mind Control Babidi, go to 6 energy, play this guy down, get a whole bunch of dudes, and just swing them all in. This card is super good, super good. Yeah, super good. Just play this card. Yeah, just play this card. It's good. Next, we have Dabura, the Wizard's Right Hand. So it is a free cost battle card that's at 20,000 power. If this card is in rest mode, your opponent cannot attack Evil Wizard Babidi. So this is what I was talking about in regards to the Babidi support. This is mostly relevant in like the Babidi leader, with the Babidi leader, where you are weaker than most other leaders, even awakened. This card, prevents your leader from being attacked. So it's actually really strong in that regard. And at 20,000 power, that's really strong as well. So this card is really strong. Definitely, if you're playing a Babidi leader, I don't see you not using this card. So this card is just going to be super handy in the like mid to late game. Effectively, it acts like a blocker in the sense that if your opponent wants to try to get towards your leader, this guy can just sit there and basically force him to attack Dabura. And being 20,000 power, that's not terrible as well. You can combo a lot of stuff to bump him up in order to survive combat. That being said, he is just like straight up weak against anything that just kills him outright. So yeah, that's something to note. But this card, if you're playing Babidi, there's no reason not to play this card. So it's pretty much Babidi, chuck 1 Steel Ball into your deck straight away, and then chuck 4 of these guys into your deck straight away. He's strong. He's got a very relevant ability. There's no reason not to play him if you're playing Babidi leader. Next, we have Attendant, Spopovich, and Yamu. So they are 2 for 15. So they're effectively your 2 for 15 vanillas. To compensate for this, so they are double red. So most of the other 2 for 15 vanillas are usually a single color, but this is double red. So this is generally only going to be played in like a mono red deck. So when this card attacks, place up to 1 card from the top of your deck under your Majin Buu ball. And so this just accelerates you to your Majin Buu seal ball earlier in the game. So basically, if with this and your leader, this can put like 2 cards under your seal ball. Spamming these guys are pretty easy in the early game. It only costs 2. 15,000, they're also pretty strong as well. So your opponent generally has to either get their 15,000s or like push a little bit to sort of fight these guys. They're going to unseal your ball pretty quickly. So I think, definitely in the Babidi deck, if you're playing seal ball, this card's going to be pretty easy, at least 3 of. Next, we have one of the fun cards of this set, Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu. So it's got evolved from Sun Gohan Adolescence. So using free red and free color, so that's effectively 6. Its base cost is 7. It's got 30,000 power. It's got dual attack, which means it can attack twice. And this is the really fun part of the card. Activate main once per turn. Choose 1 Sun Gohan Adolescence underneath this card. For the duration of this turn, this card can attack battle cards in active mode and gains all the skills of the chosen card. So there are 2 main Gohans that this is going to be relevant with right now. So one is Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan, and the other one is the promo Gohan, where when he attacks, you either draw a card or it gives a plus 5,000 damage or plus 5,000 power. This card being a dual attack means you can trigger like both effects, you can trigger off the effects twice. And this comboing with Miraculous Combat Ultimate Gohan is just stupidly good. So at 30,000 power, he's already quite strong, but he also gains the Ultimate Gohan ability in that if he KOs a battle card in combat, your opponent takes 2 damage. So this card can attack kill 2 active battle cards, and then the opponent takes 4 damage. This card, like, if you can pull it off, and this card isn't too difficult to pull off in terms of, yeah, we'll talk about one of the ways to trigger this off. So you can just straight up evolve your Miraculous Ultimate Gohan, or there's another way that you can get it into play as well. If you don't have the Gohan underneath this card is like significantly underpowered, so all it is a dual attack at 30,000 power with nothing else. Not particularly amazing, but with Ultimate Gohan underneath, this card is going to be able to push games, 100%. So this is definitely one of the fun parts, one of the fun cards I really want to try out. Next, we have Prodigy Absorption Majin Buu. So again, this is very similar. Free, so it's 6 cost at 25, or you can pay 3 red and 2 colorless to evolve it from on top of a Gotenks. It's got double strike, so that's pretty standard. If Gotenks is underneath this card, if there are no cards in your opponent's combo area, this card cannot be KO'd. So effectively what this means is this card cannot be KO'd by your opponent's card effects, and if it's in combat with your opponent's stuff, if they don't combo into the attack or into the defense, then this card can't be like KO'd. So this card is like pretty much another invincible card, quote unquote, pretty much another invincible card. So it can still leave the field in other manners, such as like bounce effects like Gallic Gun or like 5% Gallic Gun, but this card is just like really strong. It's not a beater; it's more of a pressure card. So yeah, a double strike at 25k isn't super amount of pressure, but the fact that your opponent has to find it very difficult to deal with him is going to be what's going to push his card to be very, very relevant and very strong. The fact that you can evolve him off a Gotenks is very good, and the fact that you can evolve him off Gotenks is really strong as well. Gotenks are coming real cheap, and like this Gotenks is pretty much the one that you're going to be evolving it from. But the card that pushes both these Majin Buus over the top is the next one, Awakening Evil Majin Buu. So it's a 5 cost at 25,000 power, doesn't have double strike, which is pretty standard with cards of this size, but it has Union Absorb. You can place 1 battle card from your hand underneath this card, then choose up to 1 Majin Buu other than this Majin Buu, basically, with 25,000 power or more from you that can place it on top of this card. So basically what this card is saying is, if you have this card, you can chuck a Gohan or a Gotenks underneath this card, and then find the relevant Gotenks or Gohan to put on top. So this basically means at 5 costs, if you have the Miraculous Gohan, you can play this down, chuck Miraculous Gohan on top of it, and then get the Super Buuhan straight away. And this card is going to be the really strong condition in terms of getting the other Super Buus, and this card's going to be the core of the Super Buu deck. So yeah, this card is going to be very core. I think this is the way to do it. Like playing a Gohan or playing a Gotenks and then having to evolve from them manually using the relevant Super Buu card is going to be very tough. This card's going to be a way to do it 100% of the time, or like most of the time. This is the most efficient way of getting it done. That being said, in addition, it also has an evolve ability. So for 2 red, you can evolve it onto a red Majin Buu. So most cards when they evolve, the evolve cost is usually 1 less. But this time, the evolve cost is 2, so it's like 3 less. It's significantly lower. And to compensate for this, you have to evolve it off a red Majin Buu. So there's not really any cheap red Majin Buu, so you're not going to use this too often. This is where the deck builds into the Babidi deck. So like when I was saying earlier, like the Babidi deck isn't going to see too much play, or the Babidi leader isn't good. The main strength of the Babidi leader is that you get Sealed Ball, and Sealed Ball effectively allows you to put in a Majin Buu for 0 cost and puts it in for cheap. And so the main battle card you want to be using this evolve on is Majin Buu Revived. So Majin Buu Revived, it's down below. It comes in for free if you have Sealed Ball. So the goal of the deck, the goal in my belief of what the Babidi deck should be, is you get the Majin Buu Revived and you want to evolve it straight away into this Awakening Evil Majin Buu, and then evolve that straight away into your Super Buu. And I think that's the way the deck's going to play out. So this card is going to see a lot of play, especially for any sort of Buu decks. Time will tell how relevant the Babidi engine for getting the Buu into Awakening Evil Buu is going to occur. But yeah, this card will see a lot of play, and this card is what you really got to focus on. Next, we have Majin Buu Revived. So it is it's a 10 cost card at 20,000 power, not particularly impressive. It's double strike. When you play this card with the skill of Majin Buu Sealed Ball, inflict 1 damage to your opponent's life. So in all accounts, this card is terrible, in the sense that you'll never want to play this card by itself. At 10 costs, this card does nothing. Most cards at 10 costs basically win you the game, and this card doesn't do any of that. So things to note though, the main reason why you have this card is to play it for free using Majin Buu Steel Ball. And even though this card isn't super impressive, like I said, its main goal is to get you this Buu for free, and then you can awaken it using the 5-cost Awakening Evil Buu. Something else to note is that it's got, so most cards at around the 4-cost and higher mark usually have 1 for 10,000 combo. This card, even though it costs 10, it's a 0 for 5,000. So that means if you are running a deck and you are running multiple copies of this card isn't going to be one of those cards that's just going to brick up your hand. You're going to be able to discard it for 5,000 power combo when you need to. Next, Jiren, Fist of Justice. Now this card is like, it's actually one of the few cards that actually got me really excited. So it's got double strike, it's 4 for 20,000. Permanent, this card can attack battle cards that are in active mode. So it seems like Red's really pushing this like can attack active mode battle cards theme in this set. So auto, once per turn, when this card attacks a battle card, switch it to active mode, and this card gains plus 10,000 for the duration of the battle. So what this effectively says is, when he's attacking a battle card for the first time during the turn, he's at 30,000 power, and he like reactivates, or like or he untaps. So he's a 30,000 attacker when attacking the first battle card. Then he can attack again, whether it's going to leader or going to another battle card for like 20,000. This card is a super strong beater. For a lot of 4-cost cards now have an ability where they come into play and they destroy cards. So in between like the Promo Gohan, in between Beam Zamasu, Beerus, all these sort of cards, they all come in. The 4-cost is where powers really sort of ramp up. And Jiren, he doesn't have a instantly destroy a dude type ability, but he's like, he compensates for that in terms of he's effectively able to just straight up wreck a dude in combat. 30,000 power, he's at a level where it's really difficult for your opponent to out-combo it. Anything that's at 15,000 less, your opponent's just like not going to combo to try to protect it. He can attack twice, so yeah, he can attack a dude, or yeah, he can either attack 2 dudes or a dude and your leader. So yeah, this card is strong. Yeah, nothing else to say about it. He's strong. He doesn't need to build into any sort of specific deck. He's just a strong 4-cost beater and also pseudo removal. Next, we are moving on to the extra cards. So Patara, the Kai Secret. It is a 4-cost extra card. Do note that there's no color requirement for this card, but it is red though. To activate main, choose one of each Son Goku and Vegeta from your hand and place them into the drop area. Choose from your deck or your drop area one Vegeto with energy cost of 6 or less from the chosen area and play it. So it's pretty badly worded. So basically it says, discard a Goku, discard a Vegeta, get a 6 or cost less Vegeto from either your drop zone or your deck. Right now there's only like really 2 targets with this. So one is Lightning Speed Vegeto and the other one is 4-cost Promo Vegeto. We'll talk about the 4-cost Promo Vegeto a little bit later, but it's unlikely going to be the target of what this card is. So most of the time you're going to be getting Lightning Speed Vegeto. Yeah, so this card's a strong card. We've talked about it. You attack with him, mill some cards, get 7-cost Vegeta, punch him in the face even harder. This card is strong. Yeah, obviously going to be like only in the Vegeto deck, which, to be honest, I'm not even sure the Vegeto deck necessarily wants to play the Vegeto leader. So so that's something interesting to note. That being said, though, yeah, this card should see play at 4-cost. It's pretty good, and there's no color requirement. So if you don't get the Vegeta and the Goku on the field for like a regular Patara fusion, then this is like a way to speed that up as well. Next, we have Majin Buu Sealed Ball. Not much more to add about this card. This is really going to depend on the metagame. So if the game is like super speedy, then this card may not see play because it does take a couple of turns to ramp it up. But when you do get that free Majin Buu, you can evolve it with Awakening Buu. There does seem to be a lot of moving pieces and a lot of greed to the deck, but it does allow you to more effectively play some of your Super Boos. So I'm going to test this out to see how relevant this deck can be. Would not be surprised if it's playable. Next, we have Piccolo's Help. So it's a free cost extra card requiring 2 red. Activate main. If you have 3 or less cards other than this card in your hand, so if you have 4 cards including this card, choose one Gotenks with 15,000 power or less in your drop area and play it. Right now, that's Energy Power Gotenks and Prodigy Fusion Super Saiyan Gotenks. Both not bad cards, but not really cards I want to be trying to get back, if you know what I'm saying. If it was like cost 4 or something and you can get a Gotenks of 25 or less or 20 or less, then that will be more appealing. But yeah, the Energy Power Gotenks, while it's a pretty decent card, yeah, Piccolo's Help is like not relevant enough for it. And yeah, again, Prodigy Fusion Super Saiyan Gotenks, paying free to like get one back from the discard pile. doesn't sort of excite me enough. So I don't think that this card is like too relevant, even though the Gotenks deck may want to have it. Next one is Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack. So this card is going to be a card that won't see a lot of play for now, but we'll see significantly more play when the Gotenks leader is released. So in one of the upcoming like promo packs, no, in the upcoming leader box, we will be getting a Gotenks leader. So this card is going to see a lot more play after that comes out. But yeah, so for now, it is a 2-cost extra card. Activate main. If Gotenks is in your leader area or your battle area, play 2 ghost tokens. So effectively what this is saying is you get two 15,000 power battle cards for 2 costs. So like we've said in the past, there's like those 2 cost 15,000 power vanilla battle cards. This basically gives you 2 of them for the same cost. And there is some synergy with Gotenks and so on. So yeah, so this does lend itself to a very aggressive, to an aggressive deck. Yeah, so it's going to be way more playable when the new Gotenks leader comes out, because that way you don't have to have a Gotenks battle card on the field. You can just do it as long as your leader is Gotenks. So yeah, this card seems like fun. Don't know how super competitive it will be. I can definitely see it being played as like a sort of a new aggro deck, similar to like what Champa represented in set 1. So yeah, this will be a fun card. Enjoy it. And next, I know it's technically not a like red card, but it does come in at the end of the set. So, and I figure we've talked about older Vegeto, so we'll just lump it in. So next, the final card is Ultimate Force Super Saiyan Blue Vegeto. It's a 10-cost card that's blue and costs 3 blue. It's got Union Potara, so for 5 red, you can Union Potara it onto Goku and Vegeta. This card has ultimate, so what this means is that you can only include 1 copy of it in your deck. It's got triple attack and triple strike. So this was the secret rare that they couldn't reveal on the advertisement or on the video. So yeah, so this card is basically, if you can pull this off, your opponent needs a lot of extra cards to stop this card. So triple attack means it can attack 3 times, so it's like 1 extra than dual attack, and triple strike. So this card, if unhindered, hits for 9 damage. Stupidly strong. Yeah, it's stupidly strong. It is definitely a game finisher for sure. I don't know like how much of a need there is for this card. But because it's ultimate, you can only have 1 of them in deck. Whatever, you know, if you're going to play a Vegeto deck, might as well chuck in one of these to see if you do get it. In the off chance that you do get it, having 3 red energy is not too hard if you have a Vegeto leader. If you just happen to have a Goku and a Vegeta on the field, bang, put him down, see if your opponent can stop this. If your opponent's at 6 life, this card's going to be stupidly hard to stop. It's at 40,000 power, so that's a lot of combo. So if your opponent doesn't have any extra cards available to stop him, they're going to have to combo it pretty much the entire hand to stop the first attack. And then the second attack and the third attack is just going to go through. So this is a game ender. This is a game ender. Seems super strong. It is like really awkward to play though, but there definitely will be times where you play this card and you just like feel so good when you win with it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit long. I do like sort of ramble on and talk about all these cards. I get really excited for them, and I like sort of sharing these ideas with you. So definitely let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any interesting perspectives on these cards. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to send them through on my social media, or just like leave them in the comments below. I'll answer them. Or if there are any like common questions, then definitely I'll bring them up in future videos and talk about them. So yeah, I am going to be adding more regular Dragon Ball Super videos into my lineup of videos. So definitely, if you do enjoy this video and you like the discussion I'm bringing forward, please subscribe. It just helps me get a little bit more viewership, a little bit more engagement, and yeah, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. So thanks a lot for watching. Grand J out.